Thank you guys for being here. Who is here for the first time? Wow, I love that. Thank you guys for coming. This is fantastic. We do these every single month. It's our Pay It Forward. I'm Brandy Vega. I'm the founder of Promise2Live, and this is my mission. Many of you know I almost lost a child to suicide. I made a promise to God if he saved her, I'd do the work. I didn't expect I'd have to work this much or doing all the things, but here we are, and it's great. So almost every third Thursday we do these. Our May is an exception because May 15th we're doing a really cool event that I want to invite you guys to participate in. So let me just share a little bit about what we have going on, and then I'll introduce our speakers, and we're really excited. So the next town hall is April 17th, so go ahead and mark your calendar for that. You can find information at Promise2Live right there. If you guys scan that QR code, we have events on there. We are partnering with MTV. Who remembers MTV? I mean, I remember, right? It was really cool. It was way before YouTube and things like that. And, anyway, we're partnering with MTV on May 15th. We're doing a Promise2Live mobile outreach. It's a day of action, and we're going to be going to schools, junior high, high school, colleges, universities, and businesses. We need volunteers. We need people with the businesses. Our goal is to get multiple teams out in the community. We're looking to partner with some veteran groups to bring motorcycles and make it really fun. But we want to get to these kids especially, get them to make the promise to live, which is a promise to reach out for help if you're ever struggling, to a friend, a family member, resources, and we share 988. So our mission is to share Promise2Live. And then in partnership with MTV, their campaign is called Ask, A-S-K. If somebody's struggling, here's what you need to know. Just ask. Ask, ask, ask. A stands for acknowledge. Hey, I noticed maybe you haven't been around. Are you feeling okay? Hey, maybe you're struggling, or is everything all right? So we're acknowledging, we're supporting. I'm here for you if you need a friend. Have you heard of 988? Do you want to go grab a ice cream? Works for me every time, by the way. And the last one is K, keep in touch. Can I follow up with you tomorrow? Would you come to our event? So we're partnering with them to share Ask, which is their mission. And our goal on May 15th is to get 1,000 people to make the promise to live. Everyone that makes a promise to live gets a coin to keep and a coin to give, right? That's part of our mission. We want to reach out to other people and get involved. So that is on May 15th. Our goal is to get 1,000 directly and then 2,000 more indirectly. So if you would like to join us, if your business, if your school, if you want to volunteer, that's the first thing. Barb back here. Barb, raise your hand. Everybody see Barb? We love her. Give her a hand. Woo, she's the best. She's going to pass around some of these sign-ups, but also what we have is May 31st is our first ever gala. Who's coming? Yes. Tickets went on sale today, so please buy your ticket. They're early bird prices. They go up in a month, and we're selling tables. There's a lot of you in here with businesses and with groups and individuals. Please consider purchasing a table to help us continue our mission and sponsor that so you can get more information from Barb, and you can get it online to buy your tickets, get your table, get whatever you need to get. And then we have our big event in Hollywood. So I'm just sharing all this stuff with you. We're doing one August 8th. We're doing one in Hollywood. Like, we're really, really committed to creating this community of collaboration and reaching people where they are through the businesses and people that they already know, trust, and follow. We do want to thank Super Chicks. Did you guys enjoy your lunch today? Thank you, Peter and Julie and Mike. Mike and Julie, thank you guys. They did the lunches for us. We sure appreciate them. So yeah, Super Chicks, great. They've done our lunches before, and we just appreciate them. Please support our friends who make things a little bit easier for us. We have an incredible lineup today. How many of you guys know these amazing people? You know, I got a little bit of grief for our event with Joel in December. He said, you know, I've never been to an event where Santa Claus tossed me the mic and I didn't get a grandiose introduction and welcome. Santa's not tossing you the mic today, but we will be handing them off. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves. They're amazing. If you read the bio on why you're here, you'll see how fantastic they are. We have Brent Esplin, Curtis Morley, Thomas Wilkinson. want to make sure I get that right, and Jay Toby. And every single one of these men are doing incredible things in our community. If you don't know them, please come and meet them after. We're honored to have them today talking about something that's so prevalent, addiction. Some of us are addicted to our phones. Some of us are addicted to trauma. Some of us are addicted to whatever it is we're addicted to. And I think that there's going to be some very, very powerful tools and takeaways here. But before we jump into that, why do we do these on third Thursday? Because of this guy. Ray, come on up. I love collaboration. That's like my main thing, guys. We're all in this together. When it comes to saving lives and doing important things and supporting each other, we should all be there, right? No competition. And I love that he does this. I'm going to let him share. But I decided to do these every third Thursday because afterwards we go right over to Kiln and do his event from 3 to 5.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, Brandy. Yeah, I love that you do this event right before Third Thursday. You bring amazing people over, and I hope some of the Third Thursday crowd comes here too, because it's great what you do. And just to give you a little bit of heads up of what Third Thursday is, it's a pitch event that been going on for the last 2 years. Every third Thursday of the month at 3 p.m., usually at Kiln headquarters in Lehigh. It's powered by another nonprofit organization called Connect Capital. And what Connect Capital does is it takes founders and surrounds them with mentors, a little tribe of mentors, gives them feedback on their pitch, and helps them raise capital. In fact, Connect Capital used to be called the Wayne Brown Institute, then venturecapital.org, and recently it became Connect Capital. But it started in 1983, and some of the biggest names in Utah, like Ancestry.com, Recursion, Omniture, and a bunch of those names that have become really big namesakes in Utah, came through our program, as well as many others. And so we're just trying to help founders and give them a place to pitch and connect with investors. So if you want to come, it's at 3 p.m. right after, pretty soon after this. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Brandy, and thank you all.
Thank you. We'll be over there, and we hope you guys will join us. It's literally right around the corner. And one of the things that I love is Ray's generously partnered with Promise2Live too. So we're able to share our message with all these founders, and it's just a fun event. If you like Shark Tank, you're going to love Third Thursday. If you like networking and meeting amazing people, you're going to love Third Thursday. So I'm just thankful for him that we can promote each other's work and help spread that. So now, as we get started today, we always start with Dr. Morgan, Dave Morgan. He is the director for mental health for Silicon Slopes. So we will have you come up, we'll turn the time over to him, and then we'll go in order of our speakers. At the end, we have a few more of our partners that we want to give a few minutes to talk about some of the things that they're doing. And then if you guys want to stick around and get questions, then great. All right, Dr. Morgan, welcome him to the stage, please.
Thank you, Brandy. At Silicon Slopes, we're so grateful for Promise2Live and organizing these town halls every month. This is something that Clint Betts started about 18 months ago, just after some significant issues, and he's wanted Silicon Slopes to be very involved in continuing the mental health conversation, and Promise2Live has been very important to that. So I'm just going to share a few thoughts here on addiction. For most of my career, I've worked as a forensic psychologist, which is not as sexy as it sounds. It's not Criminal Minds, no private jets, nothing like that. It mostly involves going to prisons, working with people who've been convicted of crimes, assessing risk, trying to predict whether they're going to do these sorts of things again. And I did that for about 20 years. In addition to assessing risk, I worked with people in treatment programs as well. Some with addiction, some non-addiction. And one of the things that the participants would often complain about is that the programs were long. They were 2 years, 3 years, sometimes even longer to complete. And they would say, well, why can't we, why can't this be an 8-week treatment program? And these were serious crimes they'd been convicted of, but they would often complain about that. And one of the things that we told them was that the issues that you've been struggling with are complex. And there's no easy solution to that. It's going to take time to deal with that, to overcome those difficulties, and to see patterns of new behavior. That if you see a pattern of new behavior in 72 hours, who's to say whether that pattern is going to be there 6 months later? But if you see a pattern over 12 months or 18 months or 24 months, chances are that's going to stick. So that was one of the reasons that those programs were so long, because complex problems require complex solutions. One of my favorite movies from the 90s is called City Slickers. It's about a group of suburbanites who are trying to manage their stress, and so they go on this cattle drive, and where they move these cattle across states. And at one point, Billy Crystal, who's there in the baseball hat, is talking with Curly, the late Jack Palance. And Curly says to him, he says, "You city slickers are all the same." He says, "You spend 50 weeks every year tying your rope into knots, and then you expect to come here and untie it all in 2 weeks." And it just doesn't happen that way. When we get ourselves into trouble with certain things, and we want immediate solutions, we say, well, what's the easy way to get out of this big problem that I've created for myself? And I've got news for you, there's not. There is no easy way. There's easy solutions to easy problems, but there's no easy solutions to difficult problems. So that's why I say here, generally speaking, complex problems require complex solutions. The good news is, the greater and more consistent the effort, the higher likelihood of lasting success, and the higher likelihood of developing skills and talents that you're going to be able to take with you the rest of your life. I had a friend who trained for an Ironman and ran it, and was successful, completed the whole thing, like the full Ironman. And and it took him months and months, even years to train. And I thought, well, what if there was just a pill you could take? You take a pill, and the next day you're ready for an Ironman. That'd be great, because then you could do it, but you wouldn't have had all that benefit of working so hard. And part of him finishing the race was important, but what was even more important was all the diligence and the hard work and the talents that he had developed over months and years that stuck with him after the race. So that's the good news when you're dealing with difficult problems and you're thinking, why is this taking so long? Addiction is a perfect example of that. Why do I keep having challenges with this? Why can't I just manage this? The good news is every step you take forward is progress, and it's things that are going to stick with you if you just increase them over time. At Silicon Slopes, we have a podcast, the Mental Health Momentum podcast. We encourage you to tune into that. So we talk with business leaders and others about mental health issues. It's a wonderful thing. One of our former guests is actually several former guests in here today, and it's been great to have them on here. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for your commitment to mental health and your support of Silicon Slopes. And with that, I will turn it over to Brent.
Okay, my name is Brent Esplin, and I am the executive director of an adolescent treatment program called Oasis. It's located in Provo, Utah. I've been working in the mental health field as a licensed marriage and family therapist for about 25 years. And today I wanted to first of all, just thank Silicon Slopes and Promise2Live for putting on these important mental health town halls so we can have dialogue about mental health issues and about addiction. And what I'm going to talk about today is a case study with my own family related to social media use and how that impacts potentially a family. So I have 3 children, and my children have grown up in the social media age over the last decade. I've got a 23-year-old son, Canyon, a 21-year-old son, Eli, and a 19-year-old daughter, Elsa. Elsa's actually here with us with my wife. And so 2 boys and a girl. And what I realized and what I've discovered over time as a father is there's a lot of different social media use between boys and girls. So I personally started back on Instagram in 2014 as an LDS bishop, and the reason I got onto Instagram is because I wanted to see what the kids in my neighborhood were involved with. And it was a really great opportunity for me to be able to connect with them related to like the school dances that they'd go to, and gave me chances to be able to talk to them about what's going on in their lives. I think it's important to note that as my own kids became teenagers, my boys had fairly little interest in social media, and yet my daughter was much more interested, we'll say. So just a little bit about my kids. So my son Canyon played football and soccer at Orem High School, and as he was there, like into Orem High School, as far as his involvement with social media and maybe specifically Instagram, is we would encourage him to as he went to school dances to post the school dance pictures. We felt like it was the polite thing to do. And we really had to encourage him to do that and stay on top of that, just to kind of be able to be nice to the young women that he took to the dances. Now, as we fast forwarded, after his high school career, he ended up being called to serve an LDS mission in Brazil in 2019. And of course, we all know what happened in 2020 when the world shut down, and he and about 1,000 other missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were sent home. And it was interesting because as they were sent home, he was home for a couple of months, and then was reassigned to a mission in Gilbert, Arizona. And there at that point in time, there was really no way for them to go out and talk to people because of COVID. And so they had a chance to be able to take Facebook and figure out how to connect with people through Facebook. So I'm talking a little bit about a benefit of social media, that they had an opportunity to connect through Facebook. And so my son, as a missionary, became a social media specialist as part of their mission. Now, so my son Eli, fast forward a couple of years, and he ended up in high school, at Orem High School, playing soccer and football as well. And once again, same thing kind of occurred as far as us talking to him about, hey, get on here, post the pictures of your dances, and so because it's a nice thing to do. And once again, had very, very little interest in social media. He gets called to Honduras on an LES mission, and goes in. A little after the pandemic, and he had an opportunity also to be able to connect through Facebook with people and being able to use some social media skills that way. Then we get to my daughter Elsa, and Elsa was very different than my boys in that she, from the time she was in 9th grade, was a varsity cheerleader, and so she was at the junior high school and going over to the high school for cheer. And it was interesting because she would she was very much a social butterfly, and she was always wanting to connect with people and had a lot of interest in social media. And so what I had to do with her was more of almost like rein her in. And so as a very involved student at Orem High School, it was a great opportunity for her to be able to connect with people, not just with Orem High School, but other places as well. And yet she put a lot more thought into social media and what she posted than my boys ever did. So I tell you that because mental health issues among teens are rising and have been rising over the last decade. The role that social media plays in this trend is significant in that screen time has increased 2 hours over the last decade since 2015, from 6 to 8 hours a day average screen time for teenagers. It's important for us to be aware of that. There are some potential benefits for social media in that it allows teens to be able to connect with each other through the things that they post. Also, like my daughter has been able to connect with a lot of teenagers from other schools across the state through cheer, through student government, and has created a nice sized social network because of that ability that I didn't have when I was a kid. And then also social information oftentimes is distributed through social media in this day and age, through the high schools and through universities. And so it's important for kids to be able to have an ability to know how to navigate through social media in an effective way. There's also potential harms of social media. Certainly studies have shown more than 3 hours a day of social media use is detrimental to teenagers and to teenage brains. And I think it's important for us to understand that. Females specifically, as I've talked about in my own case study of my own family, much higher risk for issues with social media than males are. And algorithms are geared towards feeding things that you're searching for and feeding more of those. And when you talk about situations like kids that are looking up suicide and self-harm, that can become a real problem because then they start to think in their own minds, everybody is involved in self-harm, everybody is involved in suicide, and they start to get skewed ideas about what the world looks like around them. And then finally, sleep disturbance. This is an issue that I saw a lot with young adults in treatment, where they didn't have an ability to really manage when they were in high school, to manage social media. They get to college as freshmen, they've got their computer, their laptop, and their phone, and they're staying up all night. And it has created some real significant issues where kids are dropping out of college as freshmen. So just some real quick parental guidelines that I would put out there. First and foremost, keep the phones out of the bedrooms for teenagers, bottom line. Right? A lot of kids will say, hey, I use it for my alarm clock. Buy them a $5 alarm clock. They don't need to have their phone in their bedroom, and that causes issues for them and keeps them up all night. Keep lines of communication open with your teen. Set time limits for usage. That's a real nice ability that we have in this day and age, where we have the ability as parents to be able to set those time frames and then have them ask for more time if that's necessary. And then please lead by example as parents, right? Put the phones down. Don't be texting, emailing, talking during or surfing and scrolling during dinner time. Make sure you're present with your kids. That's what's going to help them to realize, hey, this is something that's really important to our family. And when I think about my own family, this is a family where this is what we look like when we realize, hey, social media doesn't control our lives, okay? We control it, and please do what we can to manage our own digital experience. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I am an emotionologist. And you might ask, wait, what's an emotionologist? An emotionologist is someone that studies the emotions and how to effectively use those for our good. And I started a company called Counterfeit Emotions. In the last 7 years of research, what I've found is that every emotion that serves us, every emotion that takes us where we want to go, has a counterfeit, except for one. There's one that can't be counterfeited, and that's peace. Peace is the only emotion without a counterfeit. And we've identified 36 of these to practically take into our lives so that we can get out of those cycles of disconnection. And some of those examples would be guilt and shame. Guilt is authentic, shame is a counterfeit. Love, authentic, lust is its counterfeit. Pain, I know this one's not going to be popular, pain is authentic, and misery is its counterfeit. Today, we're specifically going to talk about recovery and sobriety. Sobriety is the counterfeit of recovery. And I see some big eyes right now like, wait a minute, hold on, wait, everybody says you need to be sober, sober, sober. How can sobriety counterfeit recovery? And I wish that this was my original idea. There is a therapist psychologist here, Kyle. Say hi, Kyle. Kyle was actually the one that helped me as I'm writing the book on counterfeit emotions to develop this, and I'm really grateful for that. But I would like, since I'm an emotionologist and I deal with feelings, I want you guys to actually feel what this feels like. So everybody put both feet on the ground, find a comfortable position, get relaxed, get ready. And I want you to take the biggest breath you've taken all day. Ready? Breathe in deeply. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. And breathe out. And we're going to do one more of these. Okay, everybody breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, and hold it. Okay, raise your hand. Everybody raise your hand. Keep your hand raised as long as you're holding your breath. And the good news is this is only 10 minutes. This whole speech is only 10 minutes, so you only have to go 10 minutes. That's it. You only have to hold your breath for 10 minutes. So keep holding until we get to the end of the speech. Great, good job. Oh, wait, hold on. How come? Wait, you're dropping your hands. Keep holding. No, keep holding. No, don't stop. Hold your breath. Everybody hold your breath. Oh, wow, nice job. You look so relaxed. Keep going, keep going. You've made it an easy 30 seconds. Great job. We've only got 9.5 minutes left.
I believe in you.
Keep going. You've got this. You've got this. I'm seriously impressed. This is great. Tom, way to go, man. Let's take a look. Keep holding them up. Keep holding them up. Julie, great job over there. Let's take a look at the definition of sobriety. All right. I see some people turning purple.
Yeah.
Keep going. You're at a minute 12. Way to go.
Is there a medic in the
We got 3 guys on the back. Oh, we got somebody pounding his chest over here. This is great. All right, Brian, you're in the running. Here we go. 3 people left. Take a look at what the definition of sober is. Oh, wait. Hold on. A minute and 30 seconds. That's it. You guys, we've still got 8.5 minutes. Why aren't you still holding your breath? Didn't you have enough willpower? Where's your willpower? Do you have enough willpower? What you just experienced is what people in sobriety experience every day. That anxious feeling, that fear, that wondering, when am I going to have to breathe again? That's what people in sobriety experience every day. And if you look at the definition, if you're going back to the 12th century Latin of sobrius, means, get this, not drunk at the moment. That's the definition of sober. It's bookmarked by a relapse here and a relapse here. Sobriety is the time in between. That's sobriety. Recovery, if we go back to the 14th century, we come to an Anglo-French word, recovery, which means a return to health. After illness, injury, or misfortune, it also means a cure. Sobriety says, I'm not drunk at the moment, or I'm not looking at pornography at the moment. Recovery says, I'm going to return to health. And you notice that inside of recovery is the word over. Recovery is about being done. And there is full recovery available. And I want to point out here, sobriety measures how long. I've got my 1-month coin. I've got my 1-year coin. The entire metric of sobriety is the length of time. But recovery measures how deep. How deep have I dug in my soul? And if you look at it, this is my little friend. Sobriety says, I'm going to learn tools to push this demon inside of my soul down. And just like a beach ball underwater, the farther you push that ball, the more force there is exerted to push that ball back up. Sobriety does a great job of teaching you tools of, I'm going to put filters on my phone, I'm going to have a blocker on my computer, I'm going to check in. It teaches you all these tools to carry these demons around with you and push them down in your soul. And guaranteed, there's going to be a time where one pops back up. Recovery does something very different. Recovery, which you've probably read through these, feel free to take a picture. Recovery says something very, very different. Recovery says we're going to take these demons out of the soul, and we're going to go to lunch with them. We're going to take the demons to lunch, and we're actually going to pay the bill. We're going to offer to pay for their lunch, and we're going to sit across the table from them and look them in the eyes and say, what are you trying to do for me? And when we do that, we see that they're not demons after all, that they're actually an important part of us and our history that's trying to serve us but doesn't know the best way to do it. And instead of fracturing and exiling our soul and saying, you don't get to be a part of me and you don't get to be a part of me, you definitely don't get to be a part of me, we can then embrace that part of us and not only accept but love that part of us. And so as we sit with our demons and we take them to lunch, we need to focus on the fact that this isn't just, pornography specifically, is not just a problem for someone else. The National Library of Medicine did a survey, and this is what they found. They asked, in the last month, have you looked at pornography? These are the current numbers. Almost 100% of men reported looking at pornography in the last month, but even more startling, 62% of women said they had also. And here's the thing. Most people are not addicted to pornography. The trap that they're caught in is that they're addicted to shame. Shame is what keeps the cycle going. The problem is not pornography. It's not. And we've proven this through the 8-week program that we do, that it is not the pornography, it's what's happening inside and how we pull those demons out. That's what makes it go from sobriety to recovery. And you say, well, what about all the brain science? What about, you have to rewire these and it takes a century to do this? And according to Anna Lemke in Dopamine Nation, the dopamine dependence cycle is gone in as little as 2 weeks. Sobriety is only important up to the 2-week mark. From there, recovery needs to take over. There's zero correlation with how long you're sober and how much you're recovered. Zero. And that's why the recovery is so important to dig and dig. And that's what we do. We dig into this specifically with pornography, that we get rid of the shame. We leave that behind and we say, you're not focused on the problem is here. It's not the pornography. That could be drugs, alcohol, shopping, excessive exercise. It could be anything. We get rid of the need for pornography, and guess what? The pornography disappears. All by itself, without filters, without anything else. And so that's my invitation to you. If this is your struggle, or if you know someone that is having this struggle, to say, I'm going to start recovering and stop focusing on sobriety. I'm going to get into a recovery program, not a sobriety program. Thank you.
Always tough to follow up, Curtis.
No pressure.
Okay. Grateful to be here, everyone. My name is Thomas Wilkinson. I am a serial entrepreneur by trade and lover of people. This is my family right behind me. We've got 2 more, actually, since this picture was taken. But it's my wife, Abigail, my first son, Ezra, and then we've got a little boy named Smith and a little girl named Coco. But what I'm going to talk about today are 3 lessons I've learned being an entrepreneur and over the last 12 years, and specifically tell you a little bit about my story growing up that's kind of led me to this point in my life. So in this photo here, you see myself on the left there, and then that's my older brother, Adam. And Adam was our protector growing up, and unfortunately grew up in a household where my dad dealt with his own mental health struggles with bipolar, and I've since forgiven him, but it was quite a traumatic upbringing, and my older brother was the one that protected us from all of that. And unfortunately, that caused my brother to go into addiction. That's how he dealt with all the issues that he had. And I'll never forget this, but it was my senior year of high school, and I came home from a party with my friends, with the football players and the cheerleaders, and life was great. And I get back to the house, and I open the door, and my mom opens the door, just tears coming down her face, and I had learned that we lost my older brother. And that was a moment that I'll never forget. But when we dug in and learned more about how it happened, my brother went into an addiction recovery And this was a surprise because we were so proud of him because we thought he was making progress. And unfortunately, in the process of going through the addiction recovery program, he was administered what's called methadone. And as some of you guys know, and we talked a little bit about dopamine, but there is that 2-week period where you're going through severe withdrawals, and that's because your dopamine has just plummeted. And so a lot of these individuals are given methadone to help come off of those withdrawals. Unfortunately, my brother ended up trading his addiction for methadone and eventually overdosed on methadone, and that's how we lost him. Shortly after this, I went to the Air Force Academy and didn't process any of that and didn't really process what happened with my dad growing up. Then I went right on to a mission, and I spent 2 years on my mission miserable. And I had glimpses of beautiful experiences, but most of the time it was intense anxiety and scrupulosity and basically an addiction to trying to be perfect, which is impossible. And eventually I made it through the full 2 years of mission, and then I got home and I was in a lot of pain and I just needed some help. So I went to my psychologist, and then he sent me to a psychologist, and they said, hey, we got the perfect solution for you. We're gonna give you citalopram, we're gonna give you Adderall and gabapentin and Klonopin, and you'll be just fine. And the trouble is that experience, because I was in so much pain, I just wanted to listen to my doctor and do what I had to do. But all that did was just mask the issues that I was dealing with in my life. And it led to a lot of side effects that affected relationships in my life as well. But it made it so I could still operate. So I started a few businesses and had some successes, and life was good, but eventually got to the point where I tried to get off those medications dozens of times, and I could never do it. I remember trying to get off Adderall one time, and I couldn't even get out of bed for 2 days. And that experience, combined with my experience with my brother, made me just start pondering and thinking about the ways that we treat mental health and addictions in our society. And because I had been an entrepreneur and I'd started a few businesses, I had a relationship with BYU, and they came up with some new technology. And this technology was developed by a neuroscientist, neurosurgeon, that had a brother that exact same thing that happened to me, went through addiction recovery, got addicted to methadone, and they lost him. And the difference between he and I is he's a genius and I'm not. He was able to develop a way to help people naturally produce dopamine in their brain using a vibrational frequency in their spine. There's these little mechanoreceptors in your spine called, well, I don't want to get into the deep science of it, but they're called mechanoreceptors. They're very sensitive to an 80 hertz vibrational wave, and after about a 10-minute treatment, they tell your brain to naturally produce dopamine on their own. So when I saw the technology, we were through a phase 1 clinical trial, and we saw a 60% reduction in generalized anxiety for people coming off of addiction. And there are a few times in my life where I felt called to something. When I saw that come across my desk, I knew I had to be a part of it, and so that's what I'm doing today. So that company is called Neuronova, and it's now my mission in my life. So that's my story. I want to tell you a couple lessons that I've learned in this process that might be helpful for you if you're in business or if you're an entrepreneur. But the first thing is live in the gain. What I mean by living in the gain is the torture that I felt as a missionary and in being a businessman in life is I always compared myself to what the ideal was. And the way I picture the ideal, it's basically you're on a ship and you're sailing off into the sunset and you have the horizon, and you think you're getting closer to the horizon, and every time you get close to the horizon, it moves even further and further. And the reason I felt so much anxiety is I was always focused on the difference between me and what the ideal was, rather than where I was at and where I'd come from. And being in the gain, that means that if I want to see how Tom Wilkinson is doing, if I'm progressing in the right direction, instead of measuring myself compared to what the ideal is, I start measuring myself back. Hey, where was I 60 days ago? Where was I 90 days ago? And that's how I feel success in my life. So that might be something that you can try. Learn to thrive in uncertainty. This is one that I've had to figure out how to do. I exited a business and I thought, oh, if I make all this money, I'm going to be super happy and I'm not going to feel anxiety anymore. I was happy for like 5 minutes, and then the uncertainty came back. And then I watched some of my friends have awesome successes in businesses, and they still had all kinds of uncertainty. And so I realized that that uncertainty is just a part of what makes us human, and it's part of what makes life actually great sometimes. And so I chose to start embracing that uncertainty and focusing on the things I can control, like writing down 3 things I'm grateful for every single day, writing down 3 wins I did that day, and then 3 wins I'm going to have the next day. So uncertainty is just going to be a part of your life. And then number 3, strength in numbers. I decided to start joining some groups just like this one, and realizing that everyone else is going through the exact same problems as me. I'm not special. I don't have a special batch of problems. We all have our own problems. And so if you're struggling, what I encourage you to do is to join a mastermind, join groups, and get lots of people around you that support and love you. And that's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Do you have my PowerPoint?
Do you have his PowerPoint? Just click.
Oh, just click. Look at that. So, my name is Jay Toby, and we'll talk about North Star in a sec, but I'm talking about innovative funding models within the behavioral health industry. So I love the people that have spoken before me. Because they're, industry experts. I come from the outside, finance, looking in to this industry. Our mission is to really expand access to behavioral health services, whether it be addiction recovery or mental health services. We really want to have a strong social impact, but also we're very focused on private and public partnerships. Part of that is having strong financial returns. My story starts in 2019 in this space. I grew up in Cache Valley. I always knew I wanted to be an investor. I, had some neighbors that had some big wins, and if you know anything about Cache Valley, it's very much a small town, lots of cows, not a big financial mecca. But I knew that I had an opportunity through some mentors to invest in the 3rd largest behavioral health residential for adults in Ogden, mainly focused on Medicaid clients. And if you know anything about the space, they're a really tough population. I just sat on the board. I thought it'd be a passive investment, but I said one of my first investments I want to do should be philanthropic. Even though it was a for-profit, it was mainly helping Medicaid, and I really felt like that was something that drew me. We got early into Crumble. Being from Cache Valley, that's where Crumble started. Invested in a lot of real estate and saw success there. But I always kept being drawn back to this facility and back to the executive group. And even though I was just the youngest and smallest, one of the smaller investors in this facility, I was really involved heavily with that executive group and just really enjoyed learning about this industry. Some of the numbers of this industry were super shocking to me. Again, I have some cousins that have, struggled with addiction and struggled with mental health, but I don't have any of my immediate family. Brandy has an amazing journey with her family, which got her into this space. And I just see those people that are going through this, and I just feel for them. So this is why I focused my entire career, I moved it into the behavioral health industry. 1 in 6 people will have a substance use disorder. And then 1 in 10 are getting treatment. In the mental health space, I didn't have it on a slide. Nearly 25% of adults will struggle with a mental illness at some point, and only 13% will ever seek treatment. How many of you here, this is going to be a question because we're at a mental health town hall, but know of someone who has struggled with mental health or substance abuse? You can raise your hand. And that's what I saw. I mean, I have people in my immediate family. This is just some statistics on the market growth. They keep trying to put statistics on how quick this market is growing, meaning how many people are looking for addiction services and how many people are receiving. It's growing at about, well, we don't need to go through that, but one of the things I saw in this space is that most of these facilities are small, geographically isolated facilities. And something that was really interesting to me is the public and private relationship between those. I kept seeing with Medicaid, most people don't really help the Medicaid population because the margins are so thin within the reimbursement rate. It's really put on government programs and nonprofits to take care of that population. We were kind of crazy. If I were to go back, I don't know if I would have done it again, but we were kind of crazy and said, let's go help that population. And it was a super fulfilling experience going and helping that population. And so I said, I want to do that more. I want to bring more resources to this space. This is what it looks like. This is a very dumbed down version of the journey of recovery within the treatment space. So they go through detox, usually go through residential, go to some outpatient. We do adults, so we do some sober living. And what's interesting in this space is that there's so many different players that are passing a client off. This is what the current landscape, if you're trying to seek treatment, this is what the current landscape looks like. Brandy, how many months was it before your daughter was able to see? So she checked into the hospital. How many months was it? 3 months? 3 months. And that's what I kept seeing. Our facility had a 100-person wait list. We would send our clients down this road to another facility with a 60 to 100-person wait list. Brandy's daughter had a 3-month wait list before she could even be seen in a residential treatment. And so I made it kind of my life mission to say, how can we bring innovative funding models to this space? And so if anyone is looking, we've partnered with some of the bigger families and groups within the state to try to address this. We're not in the youth space, but IHC alone, we're doing some collaborations with IHC. They're going to fund some of our expansion. IHC alone saw 12,000 children check into their emergency room just last year. And that goes back to when they get into the emergency room, they're going to be there for, how long was your experience when she checked in?
Which time?
Which time?
Yeah. It wasn't good. I mean, we went to 5 different places trying to get a solution, and we couldn't get a solution, and the nearest one, even for emergent care, was a week.
So that's what I saw, is I kept running into just the access of beds. Our goal over the next 12 months is to open up 500 beds within this market. We had a, hey, thank you. We had a dinner with the Huntsmans. The Huntsmans are doing an amazing thing. They're creating a crisis facility because when someone checks into the hospital, and we all know it's all backed up, all the systems backed up, there's too much demand, there's not enough supply. But they've created an auxiliary, and they've created an auxiliary that they can take someone in crisis and stabilize them for a week to maybe a month, depending on insurance. But they've realized that aftercare, they don't have a model for aftercare and support. And that's where we step in at North Star. And this is what my mission is to say, how can we hold a client's hand for years? Our current system set up for, hey, you've had an addiction or you're struggling with mental health for 10 years, you check into a residential treatment center, after 45 days to maybe 60 days, you have a graduation, they have a big party for you, and you get shipped down the line. 60 days is not enough. And so that's where we're really trying to build that continuum of care. But We had a dinner with the Huntsmans, you know, teaming up with the Huntsmans and what they're doing. The mayor of Salt Lake was there. We're trying to do 500 beds. The mayor of Salt Lake did a feasibility study. She said, can North Star do 1,000 beds in Salt Lake County? That's what we need in Salt Lake County. And I apologize, I get pretty emotional about this, you know, because we've just seen the need. When you look at someone in the eye that's going through this, it's unbelievable. You have people like Thomas, who lost a brother. I've never lost anyone in my life, but so many people we have. So that's where we're trying to bring resources. We found, you know, very wealthy families that want to participate in this. If you're looking for funding, if you're looking for something, you know, that has to do with capital in this space, North Star is trying to shine a light on it. Thomas has some amazing technology. Brandy has an amazing nonprofit. We're just trying to find resources and divert them to those causes. There's government grants, subsidies. The government wants to help so much, but there's a massive disconnect between what the government's trying to do and what the private sector's trying to do, and even what the nonprofit sector's trying to do. The greatest example of that was last week. We got on with a big medical group here, and they said, don't you know that the state has a big plan for this? And I said, no, we haven't really talked with them about this. We got like a 100-page document with the state. We're going to talk about what the state's trying to accomplish. They have this massive plan that's amazing. I went to some of my friends that own other facilities, one of them being the second largest group in the state for owning facilities. They didn't know the state had this plan. How does the state have this huge document saying this is what we're going to do, and the second largest private owner doesn't have any idea what the state's going to do? So there's tons of connections that we can make. The largest nonprofit in the space last year got so much government funding that they were able to go make 2 or 3 investments that now bring revenue back to their nonprofit. So there's tons of resources that want to be diverted into this space. We were in California. We met with Ron Artis, Meta World Peace. You know, he's funding some of our projects. Charlie Sheen, if you remember him, he's kind of the poster of, of this issue. He spent $140 million on lawyers alone to try to save his image from what he was going through. And so when we presented what we were doing, he said, yes, I saw it firsthand. If I had something like this, I'm all in. Let's do this. So really, behavioral health is a vehicle for transformation, transforming lives. But capital, I see capital as the fuel. If Dr. Morgan is trying to do some research, but he doesn't have the capital to support him, how are we going to be able to track the data? How are we going to be able to help the individuals? And so what North Star really is a way to gather the resources for this industry and find the best path forward. So thank you guys. Thanks to everyone that's in the space and for what you're doing.
Thank you. So I did have that experience. I know what it's like to be there looking at your kid and not knowing if they're going to be fully functional, not knowing where to turn, where to go for resources, how to navigate it. And that's been our mission with Promise to Live, is we want to deliver hope, help, healing, and resources to people where they are, in person, online, on the devices and platforms that they use. And we can't do that without you guys. So I would ask you at this point, let's give our speakers a round of applause. Thank you guys again. I love putting it all together. I think that, you know, we got to knock down some of these silos and come together as a community to solve some of these problems. And many of you have joined us because you said, government can't solve this alone. It's up to us to step up. And everybody says somebody should do something, but who's the somebody if not us? Right? We're here because we want to make a difference, because lives are on the line and they depend on it. I've done this, Da Vinci's quote, he says, I've been impressed with the sense of urgency. Knowing is not enough. Being willing is not enough. We must do. And so I think we've gathered doers here, and there's different ways. So if you're wanting to get involved, if you're wanting to learn more, these guys are incredible. I do want you guys, please take your phones out, scan the QR code, find out about our events. We do need Silent auction items. Tell me if I'm forgetting anything, Barb. But silent auction items, buy a table, get your tickets. What else? Donate to our 988. It helps us be able to put all these things on. Yeah, Barb. We're launching our names behind the numbers. Yes, that. So this is really important to me. You know, we stand up here and we say this, and I think we can all get choked up because all of us have been impacted. You all raised your hand, right? You've been impacted. We stand up and we say 726,000 people died by suicide. 726,000, not in the last 20 years, in the last year. There are names behind those numbers. There are facts behind those, or faces behind the facts, and stories behind the stats. And if you've lost somebody, and I know that there's people in here who've lost somebody, their story stopped too soon. We want to share that story. We want to share that light. We want to humanize, to destigmatize. We think if we can put a name to this epidemic and people can connect, maybe we can save them. So if you have lost somebody that you love to suicide, would you please reach out and let us know? We'd like to honor them at our wall of remembrance at our town hall. We're also doing a media campaign where we want to share these stories. They're so important. But not just those stories. They're stories of hope. Who of you have overcome? Who of you have been on the bridge, you know, the theoretical ledge, and you're here today? Those stories are important too, because for every one death, there's 32 attempts. And if you survived that and you have a story of hope to tell, we want those names behind those numbers too, because this is a mission of hope. We're making a difference. We're saving lives. We can prevent suicide, and we are, and we will, with you guys. So please, please get involved. I do want to invite, again, my big thing is this collaborative community. I hope you guys will reach out to me if you've got a message, if you want to speak, if your company wants to be involved. But I'd like to invite 3 people up, Steve James, Nancy, and Brent. All of these 3 run important programs. Come on up. I want them to take a minute. I don't think there should be any ego, only impact. And I love and support other businesses and nonprofits. Steve's been a partner. Brent and I are going to be doing some stuff with Promise2Live that he just got approved. Nancy's got the Courage Reigns, which is incredible. And so I just want them to share for a minute just what they're doing and if there's a way to support. And if there's anyone else who I missed that's running maybe a nonprofit. Oh, yeah, come on up. Katie. I just want to give you guys like a minute to just share what you're doing and how people can get involved. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, thank you, Brandy. We're really excited right now to be partnering with Promise2Live, but also gearing up for our annual Governor-declared Resilient Utah Month, which is coming up in April, and then our Resilient Youth Spectacular at the very end of the month as well. And we're trying to get messages of resilience out to help children and families, and using our talents and our resources to do that.
Where can they go for information?
To resilientu.org.
ResilientU.org. He's been doing this for his whole career. This guy is amazing. Give you the shirt off his back. Just really incredible. And we support that a lot. He works with our younger kids, our K through 6, and we kind of pick up a little bit the secondary. So please check out what Steve is doing.
Thanks, Brandy. My name is Brent Reed. For the last 2 years, I've been working on social health, and I just took a very personal approach to it, and I was realizing there's a lot of loneliness in the world. And it was at that time that I came across the work of Dr. Julian Holt-Lundstad, and she actually wrote the Surgeon General's report in 2023 that said half of us are suffering life-threatening loneliness. And so this last fall, I wrote a bill that was just signed this morning by the governor for a new holiday. Social Health Awareness Day will be the last Saturday of April every year going forward, and there's a big event that we're planning to actually create friendship on that day, the end of April. So if you're interested in that, you can go to anintentionalminute.com. Now that's just my website, but if you want to take a test and see if you're at risk for social health or loneliness, you can do that on that page, anintentionalminute.com. And if you would like to participate in trying to make this first holiday happen, you can contact me at the bottom of that page. Thanks.
And you know, one thing that Brent mentioned, he mentioned that loneliness has just as big of impact as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Did you guys know that? And that's why for us with Promise to Live, it's very important for us that you make a promise to reach out, but you make the promise to live, you get your coin to keep and your coin to give. We're all going through this. Somebody told me last week, I was speaking at a conference, and they said, I just didn't know what my purpose was. I was trying to find my purpose. And I just thought I thought about that as I was sitting there. You're the purpose. The person next to you is your purpose. No matter what it is you're going through, if you can get up in the morning and try to make somebody feel seen, heard, loved, even if it's the bill collector on the phone, even if it's the clerk, if it's your kids, if it's yourself, I would challenge each of you, if you're struggling to say, hey, what's my purpose? Try to make at least one person feel valuable this day, because I hear these stories all the time. If one person would have just reached out to me, if anyone would have seen me, if somebody would have connected with me. And I think that goes along with all of our stuff. So if you find yourself struggling, see who you can love and lift that day. And I would also challenge you guys as you're sitting here. Can you just think can you think about 2 people you can reach out with today? Reach out to? Text, a call, something? All right. And I love that he's doing this, so I invite you guys all to get involved. Promise to Live will be there. And now go ahead and share, please.
Okay. Hello, my name is Nancy McMurtry, and I am the Director of Development for Courage Reigns. We are in Highland. We're an equine assisted therapy center. We're on 13 acres. We have 3 indoor arenas, and we are the biggest facility in the state. We have 3 different programs. One is adaptive programs for people navigating special needs. We have another program that is for emotional health. It's a natural horsemanship program to help people learn boundaries, communication, emotional regulation, a lot of these really important skills that go a long way towards helping with these issues. And we are now expanding our mental health program, which brings our therapists into the arena with the client, and they are able to navigate their space with the help of these amazing horses. If you put heart rate monitors on the client and on the horse, you can watch the client's heart rate start up here, and the horse's heart rate will come up and will meet the client where they are, and then together you will see the heart rate come down together, supported. There's a lot of science that is starting to come in and try to understand what is going on, but we know that this works. This is very personal for me. I have experienced it in my life in many different levels. I have navigated anxiety and depression myself, and I have been on that ledge. And I am so grateful for the support that has me where I am today. I am also a brain injury survivor, and I have had to completely refix my brain, 7 months in a dark room, and years of therapy. And I have adopted a son through foster care who has been navigating PTSD, and as young as 6 years old, we were navigating serious trauma together. We cannot do this alone. This is a group effort, and I can tell you from experience that the solution is connection. And there are so many different ways that we can make that happen. And I am just so grateful for you and what you are doing to help make this happen. This is an important work, and this is the kind of work that changes everything. As a facility, we're running at about 50% capacity. And we have so much room for growth. And what we want to do is we want to move into the space of generational change, which means supporting families. Instead of just going in for the acute individual who needs the acute help in the moment, we need to support whole families. If you have one individual in a home that is navigating PTSD, everybody is now navigating PTSD. This is a family effort, and if we are going for generational change, then we need to start supporting the family as a whole. And I do know that that is possible, and that is the work that we want to step into. So I'm really excited. I want to talk with you about helping us to make that possible. We have a gala coming up on May 3rd. Woo-hoo-hoo. So a little bit before yours, we watched the Kentucky Derby live. You get to wear your Kentucky Derby hats and the dresses and the bow ties. We serve you dinner. We have an auction. It is a great time. And we are raising scholarship funds for veterans and their families, children in foster care, and also children with special needs. So if that's something you're interested in, we're selling tickets, tables, come talk to me. I would love to have you there, and we're also collecting auction items as well.
I am just learning a lot of things about you. That's fantastic. I too adopted a son from foster care. We're dealing with some of these things, veterans, so I appreciate what she's doing. Can you tell them where to find information? Do you have a website?
Our website is couragereigns, REINS.org, and I have cards, so you can come and grab it. I've got the website on the card. It's a wonderful place, and we do have current available openings in our mental health program right now. So if you need somebody who needs to get into therapy right now, we do have current openings.
Thank you so much. All right, Katie. I love this lady. She's amazing too.
Hi, everyone. This week I was on David's mental health podcast sharing my story. I am the co-founder and president of the Live Your Dream Foundation here in Utah. After my husband unexpectedly passed away and I became a single mom at the age of 23 years old, after navigating my life and what I should do, I went back to school and got an education. When I graduated, my family came to me and said, "What do you think about starting a scholarship for single mothers?" And we started that in 2010. So we've been going on for 15 years, and we've got a scholarship deadline on April 10th. If you know of any single mothers in the state of Utah that would like to gain an education to increase their earning potential to better provide for their kids, I would love for you to send them our way at liveyourdreamfoundation.org to apply. And anything involved with single mothers, we want to support them. We have care boxes on hand that you can come by and grab. So anyways, spread the word about our scholarship deadline. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
We have so many things going on. I forgot to say our nonprofit North Star Hope Foundation is doing a thing we call Furnishing Futures, where we found 5 to 10 families. We're looking for nominations. We're furnishing their whole houses. One family doesn't even have people that are going through mental health, substance abuse. And so we're giving them couches, beds. We'll have more than 10 families worth of furniture. We've partnered with the other side and Promise2Live. I totally forgot to say that. So if you have furniture as your spring cleaning, contact us or the other side and we'll come take it and give it to needy families.
Where do they find your information?
On our website, northstarrecovery.care, or our Instagram, Find Your North Star. So.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, I love partnering with different nonprofits. I believe we're all in this together. Thank you guys so much for coming today. I do want to have everybody who's on my team, would you please just stand up? The Promise2Live team. Stand up. I want you guys to see who our team is. We've got Richard, Ryan, Adam, Dr. Morgan, Vanessa, Barb and Julie, and of course, Myrna, Angela, Cameron, Mike, and Steve over there. We have an incredible team. Please reach out to any of them if you want to get involved. And I hope that we will see you at our gala and on May 15th. Oh, and he's on our team, and Henry's on our team. Henry's on our team. He's giving coins out at his school, and we're going to be going to schools. So again, thank you guys so much for coming, and we will see you back here in April. Have a good day.